So there I am. I am on the ground, flat on the ground, on my face. Blood just pouring out of my nose, mixing in the puddles and all the rain. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the hell did I get here? So let's go back 36 hours and try and figure that out. It's Friday, Valentine's Day. Now, Valentine's Day for me, that was my Super Bowl. That was when I would have to outdo whatever I did the year before to show my wife how much she meant to me and how much I loved her. Well, this Valentine's Day, this Friday, I'm at work, and my work is very challenging, it's demanding, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I gotta take a break. So I start scrolling through my personal email, and I see that there's an email there from somebody whose name I don't recognize, and there's an attachment. So I click on it, and what is it? It is the draft divorce agreement from my wife. So my wife is not a malicious person, but I'm thinking maybe she hired a lawyer who is. And clearly, this lawyer did not understand or appreciate Hallmark holidays it was a female lawyer, as she should have. So that gets my weekend off to a pretty rocky start. I go home, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, I am in a funk. I'm not feeling so good, I'm blue. And I go through the day and things aren't getting any better, but then my phone lights up and it's a call from an executive recruiter. And while I said that I was at work the day before and it's demanding and it's challenging and all that, it's also temporary. So I've been looking for a full-time position, and I had been talking to this recruiter about the perfect job for me. So I was so excited. I answer the phone and he says, "They loved you." And I'm thinking, oh, that's so great because I love them. And then he continues, "They loved you, but they found someone they love even more than you." So that funk that I was in got a whole lot funkier. And I was even bluer. So I go to bed that night and I have a dream. And when my wife and I had a son, and he died when he was 7. But during those 7 years, he was in and out of hospitals. And so the dream was we were leaving one of those hospitalizations. I was with my wife and I was putting my son into the car. I was being very careful with his car seat. And I turn around to talk to my wife and she is gone. And instead, my sister-in-law is sitting there, they're standing there, and she says to me, "You're gonna have to go home alone." So that's the dream I have. I wake up the next morning and I am miserable. And not only am I miserable inside, it is miserable outside. And I am filled with such existential dread that I'm wondering if life is even worth living. There is a concept in psychology called somatic grounding. And somatic grounding basically, and this is in my layman's read of it, if you are having some kind of existential dread, if you're feeling the way I was feeling, you need to do something to break out of that. You need to take a cold shower. You need to listen to music really loud. You need to shock your system to get out of that funk. So I'm thinking, it's miserable outside. Maybe that's what I need to do. I'm going to go outside. So I choose as my destination Trader Joe's. And Trader Joe's is a mile away, and it's a smart place to go because I need groceries, and my son, Joe, works at Trader Joe's. And what I do is I call Joe before I leave, because this is back when eggs were not just expensive, they were also scarce. So Joe was going to set some aside for me. So I take my sturdy bags out into the rain and I walk down to Trader Joe's. I walk the mile, I get there. Joe and I, we walk around the store, we fill up the bags to the brim. They are heavy. And the last thing we do is Joe goes and gets the eggs out of the refrigerator in the back. There were none left in the store itself. And he gives them to me. He checks me out. I give him a big hug, and I set off on my way home. I'm walking like this. These bags are so heavy. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I don't want to put them down because the ground is so wet. So I keep walking, and I convince myself that I'm going to make it. And I turn around a corner, and I'm on the way downhill to my apartment, and I'm walking past the Russian embassy, who's been my neighbor for 40 years now, and without warning, without knowing anything was happening, I just fall flat on my face, and the blood goes rushing, and it's in the rain, and the groceries are all over the place, and the cottage cheese is rolling down the street. And I'm thinking, what? How? What? How did this happen? I can't even fathom how I fell. Of course, I look up and I see, there are cameras all over the place. The Russians have them on the fence. And I'm thinking, okay, well, someone knows how I fell. And they probably had a good laugh. But I'm sitting there not understanding any of this. Well, at this point, I'm thinking, this is Job-level shit that I am going through. And maybe this is a sign from God, I don't know, that I should just maybe stay down. And I flip myself over, and I'm sitting in the water, and I start putting the groceries back in the bag one by one. And I'm finally getting to that last carton of eggs to put those in. And I'm taking stock. My nose shattered, my heart in a million pieces, my pride there on that sidewalk. Well, I open up the carton of eggs, and each one of those 12 delicate, fragile shells are intact. They survived. And so I get up and I walk the last couple of yards down to the apartment, and I think, you know what? So am I. I'm intact. I survived. I am whole enough to carry on.